Okay, so the first question we have is what brought you or your family to the Entiat Valley, and about what time and where did you come from?
Oh, well, that's a good question. We came here, my mom and dad and myself came here in 1946, October 31st, Halloween, from Spokane Valley. And the reason we came was to reopen the restaurant in Entiat. It was the Columbia Cafe. And we came, as I said, in 46. And I was a junior in high school, so I had to go to school here for 2 years and help run the restaurant.
Okay. And where did you come from? Where did you live before?
Before we came here?
Yeah.
Spokane Valley at Otis Orchards.
Oh.
And that's out in Spokane Valley. And I went to school there at Otis Orchards High School, which of course is not there anymore. Previous to that, I went to West Valley High, which is at Millwood. How far back do you want to go?
As far back as you can remember.
Oh, well, we did an awful lot of traveling while I was young, and most of the time was because of a restaurant. We moved from Spokane, where I was born, and at 9 years old I was adopted by Jerry and Vi. And the first move we made was to Oakdale to operate a restaurant. And I went to grade school there, and then we moved to Gritzmacher, Idaho, another restaurant. And then we came back to Spokane Valley, and Mom and Dad worked at some kind of a job, I don't remember now, and I went to Green Acres grade school. We also went to Twist, Washington to operate a restaurant, and I went to grade school there. Then we came back, and that was about the time I would have been in, we went back to Craigmont, Idaho, because I graduated from grade school at Craigmont. And we had to go back to Oakdale to operate the restaurant because they had sold it and the people had defaulted. And then I started my freshman year at Oakdale, or no, at Craigmont, at Craigmont. And then I was still a freshman, and we went back to Oakdale, and then after that we came to West Valley, and then to Otis Orchards, and then to Entiat.
Okay.
Sort of. I think that's the way it went. I get a little lost someplace, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so your mom and dad were into restaurants.
Well, yes, they weren't necessarily in the restaurant business, but they decided they wanted to be. So mother had never run a restaurant, but she was a good businesswoman, and so that at Oakdale's where it started. Mm. Being a good businesswoman, she hired people that could cook. She could cook, but not for a restaurant, and she had to learn. And the last restaurant she operated was here in Entiat after the dam was rebuilt out there. It's not, the building isn't there anymore. It's next to Cascade, between Cascade and BJ's. And that was the last restaurant she operated.
Okay.
You can get in the shop, by the way, do that.
Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do in the community?
Oh, well, I just stay very busy volunteering. I do an awful lot of things at home, like fancy work, but I volunteer at the food bank, and all of their programs that they have, which are numerous. I'm a Grange member. I am on the cemetery board. I'm the person they seem to want to call when they need help at the cemetery or bury people. I am on the Historical Society. Let's see if I can remember them all. I seem to keep really busy most every day with one occupation or another, all volunteer. Doesn't make any money, but all volunteer, which I enjoy.
That's very good. Do you have any special hobbies that you enjoy just around?
Oh yeah, I do. Well, most of mine are crafts, but I crochet. I don't like to knit. I've tried it, and I don't have the patience for it. But I love to crochet, and I've made lots of different items. One of my favorites is prayer shawl, which you make, and you're supposed to be praying while you're working on it, and also you don't sell them, you give them away. It's a program that I heard about, well actually I read about it in the Wenatchee paper, and went online and got the instructions and just started making them. It's really fun to do something like that, and it's nice to be able to give something away. I also make pot holders, Afghans, baby Afghans, but it's all crochet. I really don't like to knit, so I don't. And I cook and bake. I give away a lot of pies, cookies, those kind of things, but I do like to bake.
That's good. I kind of like to do braids with lace, like the vinyl lace you get. I had to teach up at a Boy Scout camp how to do that, so that's kind of a fun thing to do. Okay, so let's see the next question. What can you tell us about just things? It says describe something you've experienced in Entiat. Like what can you remember from some of the big events?
Well, I think one of the most memorable ones was the 48 flood. That was the year it graduated. Actually, the flood broke loose May 28th. That was my birthday. Last day of school, and I was pretty excited, you know, for an 18-year-old. And they didn't have school because all of the damage it had done, and I was just terribly disappointed. But the floods were very devastating. I don't know if you've read about them or been told about them, but it washed out the road going to Ardenvoir. I never went to Ardenvoir when I was in high school, but the stories that I've heard, they had to deliver the mail by going up around the hill and coming down another canyon road and delivering all of the groceries that they needed at the store. Really cut people off. Also, it was really bad in the Winthrop area, the Methow River. I hadn't been up there, but since then, you know, I've been there and I've heard about it. It was really a bad thing. Lost some people's lives, and a lot of cattle, and a lot of land and orchard. But that's the biggest event that although we have had winters with lots of snow and buildings falling down because of the heavy snow. It wasn't just strictly for Entiat, but around the country.
Okay. Of course, probably one of the things that we're going to ask everybody about is the fires.
Oh yeah, I think the worst one. Well, we've had a number of them. That was the, but I think the Thai fire was the worst. We had one on Dinkelman, which was pretty bad. But well, in Dinkelman, I was working at the store at that time, and on my day off, I would come down to the park and help fix sandwiches for the workers. And they had, I think, 2 convict crews that worked, and we would feed them. They were pretty well corralled, but anyway, they had a fire. They had a kitchen at the fish hatchery too. I didn't make it up there, but I did because I only worked a day or two. But the Thai fire was the worst, and it was so bad that from where my house sits, you couldn't see the road for the smoke. And of course, I left when they said we had to evacuate, but my husband didn't. Said he was going to follow me, but he didn't. And so naturally, I was here in Entiat, and he was at home, and I was really worried because we had a lot of trees that were kind of dry, so he spent his time watering them. But they brought fire trucks from all over, over from the coast, and the crews would come to where our orchard was, and that was, we had sold our orchard, but we had our house there, and they would come down to where they had the well for the water and fill their trucks, because it was difficult to get water into their trucks because there was no special pumping station. And we became friends with some of the firefighters, and for a number of years I would receive Christmas cards from them. It was kind of a nice thing out of that. They were all really nice. We also had people that came and used our telephone to call home and our shower to clean up, and you had to be hospitable because they were helping us.
Very good, very good. Okay, so as far as what you're doing today, you mentioned that you do a lot of volunteer work.
Yes.
What is it? Do you have a paying job or some way to?
No, I don't. I'm on Social Security. That's my income. So I have a limited budget. I can help an awful lot, but it's just time. I can give no money.
Well, I imagine that given the community has its own rewards with.
Well, it does.
Perks.
It does. When you can help somebody, I'm really involved at the food bank, because I go down on the day we get our delivery, and we check that all in, and then the next day we fill up the bags. And there's a lot of people in our area that need the help. And I'm sure they're low income and they're working. So, we need to help them, and they always feel that they don't, I'm fine, I can get by, but the food is there, and there isn't any reason for anyone to go hungry in our valley.
Very true, very true. Okay, something a little lighter. It says, what is your favorite homemade meal?
Oh, goodness. I think I like a nice roast, mashed potatoes, and a nice gravy with it. I don't have to have dessert, but one of my favorites is banana green pie. I like vegetables and salad, green beans, and a nice green salad. But I think the favorite is when my family's there, and I can cook a sizable meal, because I'm alone now, so I don't do that. But when they come, they all gather, and I have to fix a nice meal, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's always, family's always nice.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
Mm-hmm. My mom makes really good shrimp fettuccine.
Yeah, well, shrimp I'm allergic to, so I don't. And I love shrimp.
That is too bad.
Yes,
I
it
love
is.
shrimp too.
Uh-huh.
Shrimp. Okay. It says, describe someone in Entiat who's impressed you or you think is memorable in some way.
Oh, well.
Or more than one someone.
It's hard to pick out one person. I don't know. I never thought about that. There's a lot of people in this valley that have helped other people and gone on about their business and have had no recognition. And that isn't why people do things, for recognition, but they need to be recognized for what they do. I think all of the fellas that fight the fires, that I know they're paid now, but years ago, the firefighters were people who worked at the mill, and there was a fire and they stopped working at the mill and they went out and fought the fire. But I think the most important part here is the volunteer firemen and the volunteer EMTs, because they're and the EMTs, as I've learned in the last few years, have to go to school and take training to be an EMT. out of their own pocket. There's no funds for that, you know. It's the same as going to school for anything else, but this is out of their own time and their own money, and it's a lot of hours. And then to be on the ambulance call, I mean, you can fall down and hurt yourself, and you can call on the phone and tell them you need help, and they're there. I mean, quickly. And they're scattered around in our valley. We have an EMT that lives just a little ways from me, and one who did live clear just down the valley from me. They come quickly. And that's something not every area has. And it needs to be emphasized that it's volunteer. They don't get a dime for that. They don't, maybe a thank you, but no money. And I think they're really important in our valley. So that's the as far as important person or memorable, I think that's the firemen and the EMTs.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed about small towns like Entiat is you can always count on the community to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good.
Yeah, if there's a problem of any kind, like we've had a couple of people in the area that passed away or been sick, you know, and they've had hospice, and we just lost one here just the other day, and people bringing meals to them, you know, helping out wherever they can help. That's all just volunteer, and people do this out of the goodness of their heart because they want to. The best place to live is a small town. Absolutely.
Okay. These questions kind of bounce around.
That's all right. Bounce around.
What kind of technology are you familiar with or able to use? And it gives like computer programming, smartphones.
Well, I have a computer, right? The present time, it's dead. I'm not very computer literate. I can do email, and I have programs on the computer that I can operate. When my TV goes off, I have learned now how to program it. I'm not too intelligent when it comes to that. Now, you put me in a kitchen and I can cook, but those other things, I just am very, very lacking. And it's so amazing that you can ask a first or second grader to adjust something for you, TV or maybe a computer, and they can do it. It's amazing, but not me. Sorry.
Yeah, we actually, on a side note, we watched a video. Mr. Edmondson gave us a video of like the exponential expansion of technology, and if you go, I think if you go into a technical college or some technical profession, you go to school for that. By the 6th year, I think the first 2 years, everything that you learned in the first 2 years is going to be obsolete.
Yes, that's the thing. I couldn't, if I went to school, I would be just running to keep up, because it's so advanced and so fast. Yeah, I have to agree with you there.
Yeah, some of the things, they're just crazy. Okay. Oh, I think some of these questions are for us, because it says, what do you hope to be able to do after you graduate from high school?
Yeah, well, I graduated.
You graduated from high school.
And I didn't do everything I wanted to, but hey, that's life.
Okay, and what do you most appreciate about living in the Entiat Valley area?
Well, I love where I live. I like the country, the river beside my place and the mountains behind me, and but the best thing of living in Entiat Valley is the community, the feeling of belonging. And to me that's special because I came from a broken home and all, and so to know that you're protected in your community and there are people who are concerned for you, and all you have to do is let them know living in a small town, we have everything we need. And if you don't have it here, you have Wenatchee very close by. But we have everything we need here. And we have a beautiful country. Fishing, I don't fish, but there's fishing and hunting and hiking and camping, just to name a few. And there used to be skiing. So, you know, it's wonderful. I wouldn't live in the city if they gave the whole town to me. I don't like driving in the city. I do when I have to. And I'm not talking about Wenatchee, I'm talking about Seattle or Spokane.
That just gets scary.
Yeah.